Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Newbie Rumble 4.5. We've had a few changes, not many submissions this time. We're down to just 5. Don't know if that's because of the different format or because people are busy with other stuff. Doesn't matter, it's actually a good number for me to start out with, because I'm not going to have to do that much work. I'm Jono1928, and this is going to be a barely scripted review of the submissions we've got so far. So I'm just going to wing it, and hopefully only need one take. So first off in the list we have the Bazlink coming in at the top alphabetically, submitted by Takir. Takir? Oh, that's a good time to mention. If I fuck up the pronunciations, I'm really sorry. Just in fairness's sake, I'm going to pronounce everything in Australian English, just so that if one person gets mispronounced, everyone does, and that way it's all fair. So let's see. It's got some really interesting spread of guns on this thing. I think we have some kinetics, some hollow points, some squash, and a flak gun, which was an interesting choice. I'm not sure if that's meant for knocking parts off the surface, maybe hunting detection equipment, maybe it's for intercepting small missiles. I just don't know. But it's going to be interesting to see how it plays out. We've gone for fuel engines. Oh no, that's not what that is. We've gone for fuel in our missiles over APN navigation on our torpedo interceptors here, which is an interesting choice. You'd think if he'd gone for the APN navigation, he'd have internal fuel. What have we used the internal space for? Let's see. There's no internal space. That'd do it. If we'd gone APN, we could have used the internal space for fuel. Maybe they're longer range this way? Who knows? It's a big interceptor battery for torpedoes, but maybe the effectiveness will be less because of that. There's a couple of torpedo craft, so it's going to be interesting to see how that plays out. What else do we have? We have an interesting choice of, I think it's a large volume of stone below the waterline. That's going to be interesting whether that plays out as volume armor, whether that's for EMP protection. The EMP protection through this thing is pretty nice, so it might be a component of that. Who knows, some torpedoes trying to hit from below, some kind of reverse glide bomb might be able to exploit it, but that has yet to be seen. What else do we have? There's an interesting armor scheme. It does seem solid. It's not necessarily what I would have gone for, but we'll talk about experimental armor schemes some other time, but conventionally it looks very solid. It should be able to take some hits. We've got turning thrusters on our missiles. They're set to, what are they set to? 20% fuel use? I think that means they cut out once 20% of the fuel in the missile's been used. So maybe they're just for the launch and then it relies on fins. Another interesting choice. We'll see how that plays out. And no signal processors on the missiles. That's another one. So maybe they're just meant to hunt for anyone who was too cheap to pay for interceptors or decoys. That could be what it is. And what else do we have? Yeah, it was an interesting choice to have one gun dedicated to each shell type instead of mixing and matching the inputs on every single gun. But who knows? Conventionally, a very solid ship. And now, let's see. Moving on to the next one on the list. Hopefully I'll be able to get some nice B-roll footage to put over this, because I'm not going to be able to film it as I say it, and it'd be a real pain to try and film it first and then cut down the analysis to fit whatever I film. So sorry if it ends up like that. We're up to the Scepter. Scepter is a submission by Sunny Lemonade. Yes, that is who it's by. Hard to forget, but I want to make sure. And it is definitely an interesting submission. It's got a very heavy investment in, I believe it's squash and heat shells. So definitely looking for those critical hits, definitely looking to knock out gun compartments. We'll see how it plays out. There's some entries with very good spalling protection, some entries with very little. So we might see a range of effectiveness on those guns. What else do we have? We've got some beautiful torpedoes on the side, and in that tucked away on a little turret at the stern. That's a very nice aesthetic choice. They are very exposed though, and I don't believe either have signal processors. So maybe they're exploitative as well. It's an especially interesting choice on the large missile, because that's very exposed, and also I believe slightly vulnerable to EMP. Who knows? That might be there are some ships I think that have no decoys, so those might get the kill, they might not. I'm just wondering how much the investment on them is. What else do we have? Exposed hydrofoils, that was another interesting choice. I prefer mine inside, but it seems like we also do have active roll stability from up props. So who knows, maybe they're redundant and they just weren't worth the space they'd take up on the inside. That's a fair choice. An interesting note on the roll props. I don't know if this is just something that was overlooked or if it was intentional. I've started setting my roll props to, let's see, if you go into advanced settings, you can set it to non-reversible, and that way it won't pull one side under, it'll just push one side up. You might be able to squeeze a few extra points of engine power out of that, but it won't matter. This thing's got plenty of power. It had, if I remember, a really nice, big, space-efficient fuel engine. So that explains where 4 and a bit engine power is coming from. 4 and a bit K. Very nice numbers. I didn't know you could get a fuel engine to perform that well. I would have always gone with steam, but we've got a lot of fuel engines in this tournament, so I think, in fact, it's all fuel engines and jets. But we'll get to the jets later. What else do we have? There was a concerning amount of EMP vulnerability. I think all the simple weapons are quite at risk. The turrets aren't, I don't think, if they have their own weapons computers inside them, but or the detection turrets for that matter, but I would be worried. I don't think we have many EMP weapons in this tournament, but it is something to be concerned with. But closing thoughts, it is a really beautiful ship, and I believe it has solid armor too, so it's going to be good to see how well it does. Was that a... No, I'm seeing things. Anyway, that would be the HCD1 Scepter. Next on our list, we have the Moonholder. Moonholder's a very interesting choice. It is, if I can teleport over to it, it is our only thruster craft. Nice big custom jet engine on the back there, and got some interesting points to it. It's a very confident choice not to armor the jets in any way. I'm assuming it's a front-sider because it's got this beautiful giant ram on the front, so maybe that's not something it has to worry about, but a kinetic shell might go clean through that and shut them down, so slightly concerning. Another neat point, they put the jets on a turret. I'm not sure if that's to control the direction it moves in, or if that's just for EMP defense and the turret doesn't have a AI. Ah, the turret doesn't have an AI. Maybe it's controlled by ACBs or a breadboard or something. Maybe it's just for EMP safety. We don't know. I guess we'll find out. But the thing does have a lot of engine power, 6,000 engine power. It's got some big batteries in it. Actually, that's interesting because maybe the batteries are to run an electric engine, because I don't remember seeing a pack on this thing. But maybe it has one. I'm not sure. It does have an interesting... This is the Moonholder, isn't it? Don't want to read the wrong notes. Yes, it has an interesting... Moonholder by Joshi. Should have said that at the start. It has a really interesting armor scheme. It's got a very strong spine running down the middle of it, but it looks like there's very little HESH protection from the sides. So who knows, that might be an easy kill. lots of cavities in the bow though, so it should be fine for broadsiding. And it's a missile craft, which is an interesting choice. All remote guided, I believe, so no need for processors, and I don't think it has any interceptors or decoys either. So it's just going to be a straight slugfest with this one. Yeah, going to be interesting to see how that plays out. What else do we have? I think that's more or less it. I bet there are some interesting extra little tricks that I haven't picked up on, but I didn't want to dig around too much in it. So that's the moon holder. Very nice. Not a lot of paint so far. I think Takir is winning as paint goes. Next on the list is the TM1 barge, also, I believe, by Sunny Lemonade. Just filling in the numbers. I think this is the barge that was in the last Newbie Rumble. So I won't go over it too much. Really confident choice to have no firing restrictions on the 2 medial guns that start pointing directly into their own cockpit. Odds are it's decorative, but still. Very, very interesting choice. They'll probably never fire into it, but it'll be funny if they do. And if I remember, these guns are also a mix of heat and hesh. I had a look at it this morning, but not particularly closely. Nice big engines on the back. Very thick armor, if I remember. Lots of wood and stone and spalling protection going the whole way through. You're going to need to pound this thing to take it out. Possibly come in through the deck. Might do it, but for torpedoes should be fine. We've got some interceptors. These were interesting, if I remember. They are interceptors, but they're running turning thrusters, APN guidance, fuel tanks, and fins. I'm wondering how we're planning to use these, because they're definitely on the larger end and more expensive end as interceptors go. But maybe they're long range. Who knows? I'm not going to spend too much time on this because I think this one's probably more here as a number filler, and Sunny's real entry is the Scepter. So we'll say goodbye to that and load in the Water Strider. This is the one I'm most interested in because it has the most, let's say, unique design choices. So to start off, it's this really interesting double hot dog design. Normally I'm not a fan of multi-hulls because that middle armor tends to be either wasted or a weakness, but this thing seems to be very cost efficient. Actually, it's quite a bit under cost, which is an interesting choice. We have a few under cost entries. Hopefully the 30k or so it's short on won't be a disadvantage. We're not doing fixed phases either, so this is how it's going to be for the entire tournament. It has a really fascinating movement system. These, what is the word for these? Panels? Fins? Either way, really nice. I love the propellers on them, and I love that they're on pistons. I didn't notice at first, but the pistons do actually extend and retract, so you get a nice, smooth, deforming hull as it moves through the water. Now, what else do we have? The missiles are an interesting choice. We have a couple of sets of small EMP missiles. We have an interesting commitment to reinforced bodies, but no signal processors, so I guess we're expecting to be shot at with interceptors more than with decoys. We'll see how that plays out. I believe we have more decoys than interceptors. I remember seeing a couple of decoys and going over them. But we'll see. The main missiles, though, I believe are heat, and they're remote guided, so they won't have to worry about decoys, and that explains the investment in reinforced bodies on them. What else do we have? The fins, the panels, might be an interesting bit of HESH protection. Actually, they have HESH protection through them, if I remember correctly. So that's likely going to be a big deal. A lot of these crafts are running heat or HESH weapons. So shots coming in from the side are definitely going to have a hard time with that. And another interesting one, I believe we have sonar decoys, but they might be underpowered. I believe the sonar detection range on this thing is larger than the range on the decoys. And I also think we have radar buoys being fired somewhere. I forget where they were on this craft, but with explosive or frag heads on them. So possibly there's a wasted investment on those. Possibly a sticky flare would have been a better choice. Shoot out the flare and have it stick on. Maybe they're using buoys instead of decoys. That's a mistake I've made once or twice. But, you know, we'll see. Maybe there's a reason for it. Another one, a nice trick I noticed. Someone's been paying attention, because we've got boat rudders being used as hydrofoils, and maybe there is pitch control, maybe there is on the hover axis. I don't know, because it looks like they're either controlled by lure. I don't know where to start with lure, so I haven't been checking for it. Sorry, that's my bad. Or they might be on ACBs or breadboard. I just don't know. But they're in there, and they're being used in an unusual way. Like to see it. Good stuff. Another fuel engine craft, and yeah, what else do we have? I think that's just about it. Let me see, do we have any other entrants? Yes, we do. Stop the presses. We have a last minute entrance from, again, Sunny Lemonade making the tournament. 50% Sunny Lemonade by mass. So let's have a look at it. It is, I haven't made any notes for it, I'm just going to be reviewing it off the top of my head. This is the review for it, and the introduction for it, so it's going to be even rougher than the other ones, but we'll see how we do. Let's see, this is the Minotaur. It looks like a primitive version of the Scepter in a lot of ways. Is that the same bow on it? No, slightly different slopes. So this might be a unique ship. It's heavily undercosted. Heavily under... nearly at the volume limit though. That's interesting. Ammo stored on the deck, right next to the computer. Confident choice. Let's see. Very nice barrels. What is in them? 4 guns. Probably clearing clips wasn't what we wanted, but it won't matter. Solid warhead with a Sabo head. Interesting choice. How fast is it? Very fast. Decent kinetic damage, decent AP. That's going to be an interesting gun. Are they all loaded the same way? It appears that they are. At least the front 2 are. So this looks like it's just going to plink away and hope that you break before it does. And judging by the armor scheme, it's probably going to break first. But, let me double check that. Actually, no, it's got quite solid armor. And, we're seeing the same very nice engine again. That's interesting. Actually, that's quite an expensive engine. A lot of radiators in it. I wonder if the amount you're paying in radiators is worth the amount you would have paid in steam engine fuel. We'll see. We'll see. I think the AI on the deck might be more of a damning sacrifice. Is there any armor around that engine? There isn't. So, yeah, I think this one might be a filler entry, to be honest. But it's... I don't want to see it go in one hit. I'm going to move the AI down inside the hull, and we'll call it there. This is beautiful mimic work on the turret well no one's ever going to see. I feel bad about that. Anyway, that is the Minotaur, or possibly a primitive version of the Minotaur that was never finished. Anyway, those will be our ships for this intermission episode of the Newbie Rumble. Good luck to everyone. I hope your design performs as well as it possibly can. And I'll see you guys in the videos.